3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, I got distracted, so this is on the wrong screen. I started us late. It's good.
We're off to a good start.
Fine start. It's Wednesday.
I was gonna say it feels like a Thursday start.
Didn't it feel like Thursday yesterday too?
Yes.
So maybe tomorrow's gonna.
This might be the worst week of my life.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow's gonna be amazing.
What, like 4 Thursdays in a row?
It'll be amazing tomorrow. It's gonna be great. Well, hey, great to see you. Thanks for joining us for Daily Time with God. We are in a series called Eyes to See, where we are looking at the book of Psalms in the Hebrew Scriptures, your Old Testament of the Bible, and we are talking about what happens in a positive way when our eyes are kind of focused on who God is. Last week we talked about beauty. This week we're talking about joy. That's actually a decision we can make, and so we're going to study a passage of that from the book of Psalms here in just a minute. I forgot my wedding ring this morning, so that feels weird.
I just almost spilled my coffee all over my Bible.
This is a day, everybody. It's a day.
We're here for it.
But we made it. I already got a run in today. So it feels like, I feel like when I get a run in the morning, like the rest of my day can be kind of mediocre. I already did it,
Yeah. You did it.
Did it. Yep. Run.
I do like to work out in the morning, but to fit that in with everything else I've got going on.
You just run on the carpet?
No, I ride the bike now.
Oh,
remember?
Nice. Yeah, that's right. I didn't know if, still you wanted to get in the running on carpet thing.
No, not. Well, I mean, it's fine, but I do like riding the bike.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you watch a show? What do you do when you're riding the bike?
No, I am with a trainer.
Okay.
Because here's what I know about me. I'm good on the bike for about 5 minutes by myself.
So you need somebody to yell at you.
Yes. If I've got someone who's encouraging me to keep riding through the fjords of Norway.
Are you using iFit? What's the?
Yeah, iFit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then I can hang with him for at least 40 minutes.
It's great. Good work.
Thank you.
Way to go.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, hey, every day we start out with a couple things. One, I tell you about this link behind me, ehills.org/weekend. If you're looking for a next step, this is where to take it. Obviously, this time of the year for us, kind of the next step is Easter. Attending and getting your spot, like just reserving it, is a big step you can take. Choosing to serve would be a great step you could take, even if it's, sit one, serve one kind of thing. If you want to get baptized, that's an opportunity that we have this Easter that we haven't had for a few years. You can check that out. And if you need information for inviting friends, you can find that as well.
Yeah.
I think that's all the things.
I think so.
Good Friday, by the way, is also a digital service. We've done that the last few years. It helps us not have to flip the room for that service, and it helps more people to be engaged with it. Far more people are able to do Good Friday with us this way than when we just did it one time on that Friday. That will go online through that same link Friday morning of next week. So something to think about.
Yeah, it's good.
Shout out to Deb Tipolo, longtime Daily Time with Goddard and Eastern Hillser, and just fantastic lady.
Yes.
Today is her birthday. It's also Blake Tippett's birthday today.
Hey.
So happy birthday to Blake. He's probably flying the friendly skies somewhere, but hope you're having a great day.
It seems like in a while.
Yeah.
I feel like it's someone else's birthday that I know today.
I don't know. You'll have to tell me.
I'm going to have to. Yeah.
She'll look it up.
I'll look it up.
And then we always start our day with a question of the day. Yesterday, I asked you, what is like a city? If you were a city, what's a city that kind of describes you, that fits your personality? Today, I asked that same question, but a clothing company. If you were a clothing company, which one would you choose to be and why?
Yeah,
Lisa?
I looked it up this day.
You good?
I came prepared. Yeah.
Good, great.
So today I'm going to say Madewell. If you're not familiar with Madewell, it's very simple clothes. Like there's nothing flashy about them or anything. They're just kind of steady and they last a long time. They're made well.
Oh, I get it.
See that? But they also just have like a really good, they employ underserved people, and I like their motto.
Nice.
Their company values.
I was like, what's their company motto?
I don't know the motto.
Good, but you like it.
I like what they stand for, and they make a really good quality product. And now I'm all hot and sweaty because
it's great.
I feel uncomfortable.
Alyssa likes Madewell as well. That's one of her faves. When we walk by there, she's gotta pop in.
Yeah. It's expensive though, so I don't.
She's like, I need this sweater, and I'm like, you know what? I feel like you have enough of sweaters.
I think actually I have a bag. I think my purse is from Madewell.
Nice.
And then my wallet's from Able Company. They're very similar.
Yeah, that's cool. I would say I thought about this because I came up with the question, and I'm going to get made fun of it. That's okay. You know what? That's okay, guys. We can just say it. I would say the company I would say is Lululemon, and I know if you're thinking like, don't they make leggings? They do. I don't like. I'm not looking around for women's leggings to wear. But like all my workout clothes became Lululemon a couple years ago. And if you ever see me in pants that looks like a cross between dress pants and sweatpants, they're like the best material you've ever seen in your life. They're Lululemon. I have a couple shirts. It's just like, it's a little bougie. And let's be real, I'm a little bougie. And like it holds up really well.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to think of myself as that way, bougie, but holds up well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I think
And
about
if you ever see him in his running tights, those are
Mhm,
probably
that's true.
Lululemon.
But I wear shorts over them. I'm not that guy.
That is
So,
a fact.
yep.
Thank goodness.
Yep. Greg, good morning. Fun to listen to your 3-2-1 Tuesday through Thursday. Hey, here to help. Did you listen to that? Like, you hear that? I'm curious. You got to tell me. Like, when I move that over, are you immediately? That would be helpful to know, actually, because I moved the little video over, and then it gives us a countdown.
Right.
I wonder if they're hearing that countdown.
Maybe.
All I say is 3-2-1. But Pam, good morning. Good to see you. Welcome. Greg says, and it's not even Thursday, which is a marketplace day, by the way. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to forget tomorrow, Greg. So let's just prepare to be.
You were
disappointed.
forward thinking last week. You were all ready for it.
I was ready for it last week.
Yep.
Pam, I studied clothing design just for my designs. That's
Whoa.
cool. Look at that. Custom design gowns would be interesting. That would be very interesting. Robert from YouTube, good morning. What's up? Glad you guys made it to Thursday number 2, Electric Boogaloo. The second is a trilogy. The second in a trilogy is always the most rough. Tomorrow will be better. See? We got it.
I love that. That's what he did.
Is he naming our Thursday part 2 Electric Boogaloo? Is that what's happening? I receive it. Jan back with us this morning. What's up? If I were a clothing company, I'd be Nike because I'm bossy and tell people to just do it is my thing. That's a great answer. Now, Jan, do I remember we were praying for a second opinion yesterday?
Yes.
Do you have any update on that for us? Let us
know.
Greg, praise report. Echocardiogram results showed no concerns. Waiting on calcium results. Fantastic, Greg. That's so good, man. And I feel like that's a little earlier than we expected you to get news this week. So praise God. Sherry, what's up? Good to see you. Kathleen says, I'm an LL Bean girl and have been for 40 years. When you call, you're talking to a very nice person who lives in Maine and takes time with you to answer all kinds of questions, including what the weather is in Maine that day. Fantastic customer service, great products, amazing return policy. My mom really likes LL Bean, and I think it's for all the same reasons. Like,
best slippers I've ever had, LL Bean.
This is not going to surprise you ever. Do you know the best slippers I've ever had?
Lululemon.
It's worse. It's worse. I got them for Christmas one
Uggs?
year.
Yep.
Ugg slippers. Not close. Like the best by a mile.
Right?
I got them like 5 years ago. They're still my slippers. I need a new pair. They're like all worn down, but they are glorious.
Yes.
Because when you open them, you're like, why did you get me Ugg slippers? Like, this is so extra. And then you put them on and you're like, these are incredible.
I know. I didn't get Uggs, but I've heard they're amazing. But my LL Beans, man, they hold up real well.
I want to just start calling it Lul Bean.
Lul Bean.
Yeah, that's what we should call it. Yeah. I'm going to do that with my mom. I'm going to see my mom next month.
Are you really?
For a week. I should
Nice.
probably tell you that.
Yeah, you should probably
we
cue
get
me
to
in on that.
Figure he's going to do
Golly.
this. Hey, I would have thought about it several days beforehand. Greg, yes, I hear it. That's good to know. So when I drag that thing over, they can immediately hear us.
That's
but
good.
Not
But not see us yet.
Well, thanks, Greg. Appreciate the heads up. That's been weeks of doing that, if not months. Crystal, morning. Probably an outdoor gear company like Columbia or Arc'teryx. How am I supposed to say that? I've seen it.
Arc'teryx? I don't know.
Arc'teryx. I would say, Crystal, how do you say that? But you're typing, so you would just type it again, and I still wouldn't know how to say it. Empowering people to get out and experience God's glory in nature. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Tex, good morning. Good to see you, sir. Crystal, yeah, we usually hear your voice countdown saying 3, 2, 1. No, that's amazing. I mean, like, we've been doing that a long time, and we had no idea. I'm glad that I didn't say anything ridiculous.
I know. We're like,
3, 2, 1. So, Christina, good morning, friends. I cannot speak much to clothing brands, but I imagine it would be something comforting and soft with lots of pockets. That's awesome.
oh, yeah.
All the pockets.
All the pockets. Man, I don't know why pockets make such a big difference, but
this is a women thing.
It-
You know
oh,
this,
it
right?
feels-
Like,
yes, I'm
there's
sure.
a stand-up comedian that talks about, like, if you want to make your wife or significant other's day, what you should do as a guy is just like take her favorite dress and have a really good tailor put pockets in it.
Yes.
And then you like go out to dinner with that person and you're like, oh, I forgot my credit card. Like, can you grab yours from your pocket? And the person's like, no, what are you talking about? I don't have. And then like he does it, and he's like, oh, pockets. So, and I'm like, that feels super real. That is Alyssa for sure.
I don't know what it is, but a pocket just feels really good.
I mean, I just think for guys, we just take for granted the fact that everything we own has pockets.
Yes.
So, and they're pockets that can fit things.
Yes.
I see some of the pockets that girls have in their stuff.
Yes.
And I'm like, what do you put like a penny in that?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Why did they even waste the time on that pocket? So,
I got new cycling shorts because I'm at like a real cycling.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
And I made sure it had pockets because the other ones that I have do not.
My Lululemon shorts for running.
Yeah.
They have a zipper pocket on the side so I can drop my phone in there and zip it closed.
Oh. Does it hit your leg though then when you're
running?
No,
because it stays right there.
Right there.
The way that they masked it in there.
Nice.
And if you ever like rip, tear, they wear out, whatever happens with any Lululemon stuff, like no questions asked, no receipt. You just like bring it in and they're like, go grab a new one. You go grab whatever one you want. They're like, have a good day.
I have some that I inherited leggings and they're like getting pilly.
Take the Lululemon.
They didn't break or anything, but they're just getting pilly.
They'll replace it. It's crazy. Yep. Bougie, but holds up, stands by it. Still stand by it. Jan, yes, sir. Second opinion went well because really liked him. Answers weren't great. CAT scan of spine this week to determine if third surgery is needed. Oh, well, glad you liked him. Sorry that's still on the table for you. Ariel, good morning. If this counts DSW, I love my shoes. My husband would tell me I have too many. I think he's just jealous and doesn't have as many options as I do. Now you got to tell us how many, like north of 30 or south of 30? That feels.
That's an interesting question.
That, just no shame, just curious. Because if it's north of 30, I might agree with your husband.
That would be an interesting though, this question. Ballpark, how many shoes in your closet?
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Joseph, good morning. What's up? Linda, leggings with pockets. Not much into name brands though. I'm just telling you, Linda, those Lulus, they get you.
Here's the deal. I don't have Madewell clothes. It's just if I were a clothing brand, that's what I would aspire to be.
You don't have any Madewell clothes?
No.
Seriously?
No. Like I said, I'll check after this. I think my purse is from there, but I got it as a gift.
Okay.
But yeah, no.
It's good to know. Stacy, good morning. Good to see you. Sarah, good morning. Adidas, because my husband looks really good in his black slacks or Under Armour, which I like to wear, but have to break them in. And my husband looks really good in shirts and slacks by this one company that begins with K, and it's a foreign brand. Pockets are both for men and women. I mean, I agree. I just think that like women get way more excited about pockets because I think as guys, we just are like,
right. Like most guy pants have pockets.
It's really weird when they don't.
And you usually wear pants or shorts.
Right.
But women like skirts, dresses, leggings.
I don't ever wear skirts or dresses.
Like some of those things oftentimes, especially in the past, were pocketless.
There you go.
So now it's just a phenomenon.
Sans pockets.
Sans pockets.
Linda, I think I must have repeated Christina. Great minds. Very nice.
That's great.
Crystal, pockets in my ball gown was a legit. See, I'm telling you, This is the thing.
My cousin picked her wedding dress because it had pockets.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Greg, why bother pockets? WBP. That's good. He
doesn't get it.
No, I think he's saying like the pockets that are so small you can't fit anything.
Oh,
why
gotcha.
bother pockets? Yeah. Most leggings, no pockets, hard to find. I'm telling you, Lululemon has them.
Aero does too. AERO. Their leggings are fantastic.
That's like an Aeropostale brand. That's like an active brand.
But now they have their own store. Yes.
Yeah.
And I like it.
It's good.
Also, and I've not bought anything from there. I inherited leggings from there from my daughter's friend.
Amazing.
This is where we're at in life.
I also agree with Christina. My mom jokes that we women want pockets because we're tired of carrying our husband's things in our purse too. That's funny. I don't really ever have Alyssa carry anything in her purse. Although, do you know this? Now that I have a car that doesn't use car keys, this is all I carry.
Oh man.
Because my wallet is like on the back of my phone. My phone is my car key. That's all I carry. Isn't that cool?
That's nice. I bet that feels freeing.
It does feel freeing.
What about your chapstick?
You know what? I just don't.
You don't need it?
Don't carry that.
Okay.
Ron, good morning. I like Brooks Brothers quality friendly stores. I do have Brooks Brothers, by the way, feels very on brand for Ron Peterson. Looks good, classy,
sharp.
Mm-hmm. I keep chapstick in my car, by the way, the center console.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I do have it. It's somewhere. I am a little south of 30, maybe 29, but that's south of 30. I think we need to do a count.
I love
I think
it.
we need to
I
do a
love
count.
it.
That's good. That's good. Christina, I feel like women's clothing, such as jeans with fake pockets, are the most offensive thing ever. Just a lie. Just a garment
It's
lie.
offensive.
Yeah, it's good. Leslie, morning. I'd say any company with leggings like Lululemon or Athleta. Lululemon has the best leggings and sweats for men. I'm telling you, they do. I just introduced Alex to these and he loves them. Also, Athleta has leggings for petites, which is perfect for this shorty, and both have pockets.
Yes, my mom's a big Athleta fan.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
it's good. I didn't have a single piece of Lululemon clothing till probably 3 years ago, and Alyssa got me like a pair of running shorts, and I was like, oh, these are drastically better than what else I have. So
What did you think when you got them? Were you like,
I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, the same thing as when I
like
got
your Uggs?
Yeah, same thing with the Ugg slippers. You're like, what are you doing? And then it's like, oh, you know me.
You know what I need.
I get it.
Yeah.
Just tell me what to run in. So, well, hey, thanks for sharing with us. If you have any other clothing brands that you would say like, this is kind of me, drop them in there. We'll do a GoFundMe later today for Madewell for Lisa, so she can go shopping there, and we'll go from there. It's good.
I registered for classes. I'm sure you were just on pins and needles about that. No problem. The only thing is the summer class that I have to take, not this summer, but next summer, I could not find the online option for it.
Yes, you have to do it in person.
I think I'm gonna do a class in person, but it's that big research cumulative project paper. So I don't think it's a ton of in-class time. So it's probably like the right. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how that all shakes out because I haven't done any classes in person. I've only done online.
No, I mean, I think you'd do great. Summer would be a good time for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
because things are a little bit.
Yeah, a little more calm.
Allegedly slower here.
Kathleen, is Lululemon like LuLaRoe or LuLaRoe? I don't think so, but I don't know what LuLaRoe is. So
different.
They both start with Lulu though, so I could see the confusion.
I can see it.
Yeah. Ron, these days Eddie Bauer and Noble, nice flannels, cool sneakers. Noble is a great shoe company, by the way. It's big in the CrossFit community. Alyssa's got a couple pairs of those.
Noble, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's like no bull, and then there'd be like another word, like another part of bull, like
horns?
Like BS, like no beat, like we're just gonna work really hard. I think that's the like kind of brand promise that they make.
Different bull than I was thinking.
Different bull.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like I don't think they're saying there are no bulls associated with the manufacturing of these clothes, although probably there are no bulls.
Well, they're leather.
Hopefully not. I don't think they are, but who knows? Anyway, we're going to get started and actually study our Bible passage today, but thank you so much for joining us. We'll kind of catch you up if you haven't been with us. It's a little different because it's not like a linear story, so you haven't missed anything, which is good news. But before we do that, Lisa, would you pray for us?
Yeah. God, thank you so much for who you are, and thank you for the opportunity that we all have to come together, whether it's right now or later. I pray that you would just be with us where we're at. That you would meet us in these words and help us to see more and more of who you are and how worthy you are of our praise and how wonderful the joy that you give us is. We love you and pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Crystal says Ryan would say Dixon, his newfound obsession with flannel shirts. It's good. You know, you gotta rock the flannel, especially in Colorado. I feel like flannel's kind of part of the uniform.
Oh, it is part of the uniform for sure.
I think one flannel shirt
goes with your hiking boots.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or my Ugg slippers.
Or your Ugg slippers.
Fine. It's fine. Don't knock until you tried it. That's all.
I have the best picture of my dad. He does not wear he doesn't do like pajamas and things like that. That's just not his thing. But for Christmas one year, we decided we were all going to match. And so he played along with us. Yeah. So he has his pajama pants, the flannel ones that we gave him, his button-up plaid shirt that he was going to wear on Christmas anyway, tucked into his jammy pants, and then his house slipper shoes. It's amazing.
Respect it.
Yeah, I mean, he owned the Christmas morning outfit.
I mean, you gotta
won.
Be who you are. Be who you are.
He was.
All right, so we got 20 verses today, which is almost double what we had yesterday. So we'll kind of see where we get through. But Psalms is a collection of writing. Some of them are designed to be sung. Some of them are more poetry. We're looking for kind of word pictures and images, which is a little different than stuff we've studied in the past. Oftentimes written by David. This one is not attributed to him, so we don't know who wrote it. But I'll read through it. At least we'll do some bolding. We'll come back and kind of break it down. As you have questions, comments, observations, etc., please drop it in. All right, here we go. This is Psalm 66, beginning with verse 1. It says, "Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Sing the glory of his name. Give to him glorious praise. Say to God, how awesome are your deeds. So great is your power that your enemies come cringing to you. All the earth worships you and sings praises to you. They sing praises to your name. Selah." We'll get to that word. I don't think we've had that yet this week. "Come and see what God has done. He is awesome in his deeds toward the children of man. He turned the sea into dry land. They passed through the river on foot. There did we rejoice in him, who rules by his might forever, whose eyes keep watch on the nations. Let not the rebellious exalt themselves. Selah. Bless our God, O peoples. Let the sound of his praise be heard, who has kept our soul among the living and has not let our feet slip. For you, O God, have tested us. You have tried us as silver is tried. You brought us into the net. You laid a crushing burden on our backs. You let men ride over our heads. We went through fire and through water, yet you have brought us out to a place of abundance. I will come into your house with burnt offerings. I will perform my vows to you, that which my lips uttered and my mouth promised when I was in trouble. I will offer to you burnt offerings of fattened animals with the smoke of the sacrifice of rams. I will make an offering of bulls and goats. Selah. Come and hear, all you who fear God, and I will tell what he has done for my soul. I cried to him with my mouth, and high praise was on my tongue. If I cherished iniquity in my heart, the Lord would not have listened. But truly God has listened. He has attended to the voice of my prayer. Blessed be God, because he has not rejected my prayer or removed his steadfast love from me." So a couple things that we can kind of observe at a high level. One, we've talked about this a little bit, but obviously there is kind of like this desire by a lot of psalmists, people that write these, to make them kind of universal. And so this one is written very much that way. There's some clues about where it would have shown up in Israel's history. But it would be like big swaths of where that this would have shown up, not specific. And then anytime we see "to a choir master" and then it says a song, it's probably a good indicator that this is designed to be a song. So, and then we see that word Selah that we'll see a few times in here. That word is really like, think about it like when we see sheet music and you see a rest, think about that Selah like that. It really just means pause if you translate it from Hebrew. So that's why we see it here and haven't seen it yet.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell us what you see here as we get started, ma'am.
Yes. So we're going to see this theme of joy. I hope you noticed that as Phil was reading: joy, rejoice, sing praise. But it starts with this idea of shout for joy to God, all the earth. And I mean, we don't know how the song went. We just know it was meant to be sung. But I just love that it starts that way. I mean, I know songs like this. But when you think about it, like I'm sure it was this exciting moment. I mean, there's a song I can remember we used to sing at our old church, and to be like, "Let the trees of the forest clap their hands." And then there was like a clap thing that you did. And I was like, the trees are rejoicing. Like, we should sing this like we are excited. So I hope when the Israelites were singing this, they're like, shout for joy to God, all the earth. Like, it's exciting to think that we can join earth, the whole creation, in praising God. And then it goes on. It says, sing the glory of his name, give to him glorious praise. Like, they're right there all of a sudden. I hope you're just captivated by the excitement and the enthusiasm and the posture of thankfulness and gratitude that this psalmist is writing for the nation.
Well, what's interesting is you have two things taking place. One is where we think primarily individually, psalmists and really writers in the whole Old Testament, they thought collectively. So they would think about this through the lens of God's nation, Israel. And so it's easy to see why this gets manipulated and why we sing anthems about America in a similar way, because when we read the Old Testament, it sounds similar and sort of kind of that Americana vibe. It doesn't mean that we can't be thankful for our nation, and I absolutely am. But America is not God's chosen nation. That's still Israel, actually. And that really the transference that takes place with Jesus is to move from a nation state to the church. And the church is not the church in America. It's the church of Jesus around the world. It's the global church. And so sometimes we can read these things and go like, this feels confusing. This feels like something I'm not as familiar with. And so that's one, is it's collective rather than individual. And then two, the thing that we see, like we see it here in number 3, or in verse 3, how awesome are your deeds. So great is your power that your enemies come cringing to you. I would say not only is this collective, this is generational.
Yes.
So this is not just about what individually happened at one time. It's not even about collectively what happened at that time. It's about like, I'm a part of the slipstream of God's faithfulness for generation after generation after generation.
Yes. And I love that you pulled that out, because this person who is writing this psalm is from the nation of Israel, and he is speaking of God's faithfulness to the nation over the course of thousands of years.
And we get some clues at that. Like we get some hints across the psalm that that's exactly what he's trying to communicate.
Yes.
So, and then it says, all the earth worships you and sings praises to you. We've talked about this before. Jesus says, hey, like if people won't sing to me, don't worry about it. The rocks will cry out. Like human beings are kind of the only agents of creation that don't live in obedience and worship to God, which is, pretty stark that God would still choose to love us. And then come see what he has done. He is awesome in his deeds towards the children of man. He turned the sea into dry land. They passed through the river on foot. There we did rejoice in him. Talk to us about that reference.
Yeah. So I bolded the first part of verse 5 here. Come and see what God has done. I just started reading John today in my morning reading. And one of the things that happens there is Jesus is, no, it was in Matthew. I'm reading way too much. I got too much going on in my brain, but I think it was in Matthew. I started Matthew today and John. But there's a part where Jesus is walking by the Sea of Galilee. Some of the fishermen that are there see him, and they go to him, and it was John. I'm sorry, you guys. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It was the disciples. It happened early on in Jesus's, before his ministry. But they say, or he's like, what do you want? That's his question to them, because he's Jesus. And they were like, hey, do you have a place to eat? Or kind of, it's almost like, what are you up to? Like, what's going on here? What are you doing? And he invites them. He says, come and see. So anyway, I bolded that, got lost in my own brain thoughts, and welcome to the way that I function. But I love here that it's like, come and see what God has done. And Jesus's invitation is, come and see what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah.
Be a part of it.
Yeah. And I think that there is something that's like, there is a collective invitation to the faithfulness of God that I think in a hyper individualistic culture, hyper instant gratification culture, which we are in both of, if you go like, what does it mean like for us to do this more collectively? And so I dropped in the chat the question, if you were to think about finding joy in God's faithfulness because of what he's done for the global church, what would you highlight? And like, I think for you, as you like kind of think about and process that, drop that in. And Sarah, I was responding to another comment. We weren't hacked. We're just fine. All right. So as we kind of continue on, it says, who rules by his might forever. That, again, this kind of picture of a big deal, whose eyes keep watch on the nations. This is even now bigger than Israel. This is like God's general grace on all nations. Let not the rebellious exalt themselves. We saw that a little bit yesterday, that there is this implication that even though it feels maybe in the short term like somebody's getting away with something, we can trust God's justice in the scope of history, that it's not going to work out that way. And then it says, oh, bless our God, O peoples, let the sound of his praise be heard. You got that one bolded for us.
Yeah, I just don't know that when we are engaging with God, that this is what we're doing. Are we blessing God? Mm-hmm. What does it look like, not just in a moment with our words to bless God, or with our songs to bless God, but with our lives to bless God? What does that look like? And then let the sound of his praise be heard. Oftentimes our faith is so private that nobody knows anything about it. And it's not that we want to be weirdos and, go to King Supers and start singing worship songs. It's not that. But how are we using our whole lives as a blessing to God?
Yeah. And I think that the idea that we live individualistically in our culture, that rugged individualism, I would say sometimes make it so that faith becomes a private thing, right? And the Bible definitely advocates for a personal faith, a faith that is yours. But there's really no place in the Bible where we see private faith. And I think that distinction is really important, because what personal faith does is says, hey, this is what I believe. You don't have to believe it. Like, I'm still going to care about you. I'm still going to invest in our relationship. I'm still going to be a good community member in our neighborhood or our city. Like, this is a personal faith. But the idea that I'm going to make it private, I don't want that person to know, that is a construct of faith we don't see anywhere in the Bible. So,
yep.
Kathleen says his faithfulness is there is that there is still the church in spite of everything. Israel and the church have endured and not been stamped out. Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of opportunities for that to have taken place. You probably heard me tell you this story before. There's a guy named Voltaire who was a French atheist, very, very kind of anti-church. And I think we're talking about right after, maybe within 100 years of the printing press being a thing. And he was like, hey, within 100 years of my passing, the church across the world will stop existing. And he had committed his entire life to eliminating the church. And 50 years after, do you know this story?
I know. Yeah.
50 years after he dies, the Geneva Bible Convention buys his house and uses his printing press to make Bibles. So there's lots of times, just the irony of history, where God's like, that's actually not up to you. I got this one. So, Robert, I'm always amazed that the church is always heartily strengthened in the places with the harshest persecution. Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing to think about what it means to be a follower of Jesus in America and what we choose to complain about. And then when you think about what it means to be a follower of Jesus in the underground church in China, what it means to be a Christian in North Korea, where church is growing actually pretty rapidly, or, I mean, prayers with them, what it means to be a faithful follower of Jesus in Russia or Ukraine today. And God is with them, continuing to be faithful. We can find joy as a part of the church.
I think the Iranian church is one of the largest, fastest growing churches also.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So then it says, who has kept our soul among the living, has not let our feet slip. In other words, we've stayed faithful, we've stayed on the path, and we're still alive, which both of those things seem pretty essential.
Right. And it's really interesting because we've done enough of Israelite history just in our study time together, where we've seen the nation as a whole be extremely unfaithful.
Right.
And we've talked about how it is their unfaithfulness corporately that lands the northern kingdom of Israel in captivity, the southern kingdom of Judah in captivity for many years. The southern kingdom is at 70-ish years. And that marks major points in Israel's history. The fact that God essentially was like, it is your unfaithfulness that I have to step away from for a minute. I will still be present with you, but we're not in the same community as we were in before. You have to have a minute. It's like a timeout.
Yeah.
But he is so faithful. And so even in our unfaithfulness, and I love that about the psalmist here, he's like, God has been faithful to us even when we are unfaithful. Our hearts are willing, but our bodies are weak. Our minds are weak. And so what is it, how does that look even in our lives today? Well, I think it looks very real for us. I think we see that all over the place, where we are seeing the brutal realities of how people are living out their Christian walk that probably doesn't represent Jesus well.
Yeah.
And yet God is remaining faithful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you think about I think about the way the church in the West became syncretistically associated with politics. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about that this spring a little bit.
We were having a meeting yesterday. One of the gals is like, I'm really not looking forward to this. It's
going to be great. It's a series
it's going to be so good.
It's going to be called Americanity, Rejecting America's Religion. That's the name of the series. It's going to be great. It's going to be helpful, I think.
If Phil hasn't offended you yet, just wait.
It's not about me. It's about what God has to say.
I'm just
our
joking.
Faith and allegiance to him primarily over our nation. Anyway, we're going to talk about it, and that we can be really good citizens and be thankful for our nation. But I think that it's amazing to think about how the church in the West, and this is not just America, but America has certainly done it a lot, where it has just become intertwined with the politics of the nation. And God still doesn't give up on the church. And you're like, man, God, thank you so much. Thanks for continuing to be faithful to us when we are not faithful to you. When what Revelation talks about in writing to one of the churches is that they've lost their first love, right? And I think, unfortunately, there are times and places in the history of the American church where we lost our first love. And I would argue that the political extreme version of religious faith, the extreme version on the left that advocates for wokeism, social activism, abandoning biblical inerrancy, they have abandoned their first love. And I would argue that the church on the extreme right that has said it's this issue above every other issue, it's truth over compassion, it's we ignore what Jesus has to say about the stranger, the foreigner, that like both of those have abandoned their first love. So just talk about that for a couple of weeks.
It'd be great.
What's the big deal?
Yeah. Or you can go on vacation. It's fine.
We'll stream it for you. You can watch it online. Yep. So then, right, it says, you brought us into the net.
You skipped a part.
Oh, did I skip 10?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For you, O God, have tested us.
Man.
You have tried us as silver is tried. I love this idea. When you think about how silver is tried, what that means is that it's being heated and melted. And then the silversmith is removing all of the impurities, which will have gone to the top. So then he's skimming off the top of the impurities, and then he'll heat it up again. He'll remelt it. More impurities will come. He'll continue to skim and do that.
Smoldering?
Is that what it's called?
I think that's what it's called.
He does it over and over and over again. Gold is done the same way until all of those impurities have been removed, and then it's ready to be shaped and molded.
Good.
Yeah.
Or brought into the net, if you will.
Yes. So when you think about this, the psalmist here is recognizing, hey, we've gone through some stuff.
Right.
But that was necessary to remove the impurities that were continuing to exist in our hearts.
And again, he's thinking about this collectively, right? So he goes, you brought us into the net. You laid a crushing burden on our backs, like we couldn't do it.
Yep.
You let men ride over our heads. That feels bad. We went through fire and through water, yet you have brought us out to a place of abundance, which for sure, this is talking about the conception of the nation and the promised land.
Yes. And so Isaiah 43:2, this is one of my favorite, the whole 43, Isaiah 43, but 43:2 says, when you pass through the waters, this is God talking, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. Verse 3, for I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. So I just love that even the psalmist here is good. Like they go in tandem together.
It's like it was inspired.
God ordained.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So then it says, I will come into your house with burnt offerings. I will perform my vows to you. To us, that does not make a bunch of sense. What does that mean to the psalmist?
So here, coming into the house of the Lord with burnt offerings, this is how you would be in right relationship with God in the Old Testament. So we have Jesus who made the one done sacrifice for us. So we don't have to do this, but for the ancient Israelites, they would have to come with an offering to be burned on the altar in order to atone for their sins. And again, corporately. So there were personal atonements and personal sacrifices, but then there was also national sacrifices.
And you couldn't make the personal ones if the national ones hadn't been properly performed. Yes. So it's easy for us to think about like, well, like it's fine if we disassociate. One of the things that we do a lot in our faith is we go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not actually going to be a part of a church. I'm going to be a Christian. I don't need to be in a church. That would have made no sense.
Right.
No sense.
Right.
Kind of before this moment in world history. But it would have made no sense, certainly for this psalmist, because for them, they would have understood, hey, in order for me to be able to address some of those more quote unquote minor infractions, those things that come up on the regular, in order for me to do that, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, the broader sacrifices for all of Israel need to be made so that I can sort of like even just get to zero. And then I'm addressing this. Now, what we know is that was all just a giant object lesson, and that none of it was doing, no animal sacrifice was ever actually bringing forgiveness of sin. It was a word picture from God to show that a sacrifice would be necessary from a spotless, perfect lamb, which is, the metaphor of Jesus.
Yes.
And that his sacrifice is actually what would save everyone, moving forward from his death and actually moving backwards, so that the people that practiced the sacrificial system of the Old Testament, if they understood and believed God for that, they were actually being saved on future faith of a Messiah that had not yet arrived.
Yes.
So
The sacrificial system was conditional. The new covenant with Jesus is unconditional.
that's true. I mean, it's on the condition of Jesus being awesome, and he is. So check mark.
He is.
Right.
I heard he makes life better.
I heard that.
Not
same.
easier, though.
Not easier.
No.
So anyway, all that happens. I asked the question in the chat, what does sacrifice in your faith look like? Because I think obviously we don't do what they do. Like, I hope you don't sacrifice animals. You should stop doing that. Like, if you're sacrificing animals and you're a Christian, just stop. And as a matter of fact, if you're sacrificing animals and you're another faith, you should just stop that too.
Yeah.
But I think, and if you like grill animals and you call that sacrificing, I guess you can do that. But, in general, I would say that the way we principalize this is to say, hey, there are going to be some things. What Jesus says is, if you want to find your life, you'll lose it for my sake. And so, what does it mean for us to genuinely understand, hey, we're going to have to sacrifice some stuff, right? I think one of those things that I think Christians in modern day have to sacrifice, if we're honest, is the approval of other people. And that's just one of those personal ones for me over the last couple of years. And I would say it's not even in my context. I don't feel like it's the approval of non-Christians. I was never really looking for that. It's the approval of Christians, which is a different story altogether.
It is indeed.
So,
yeah.
All right. So think about that one. You can drop that in the chat when you're ready. What does sacrifice in your faith look like? And then it says, where did I finish here? I'll come to your house with burnt offerings. I'll perform my vows to you, that which my lips uttered and my mouth promised when I was in trouble. I love this line because we still do this. We actually talked about this last weekend with the blind beggar that Jesus healed. Like, we all do deal God. We all make deals. And we're all like, God, if you'll do this, it's a universal human condition.
Yep.
There's a line in apologetics, like how you talk to people about faith, that says there are no atheists at the bottom of the ocean, right? Like, at some point in crisis, no matter how vehemently against God we are, we're like, there's just something that wakes up inside of us, I believe, that goes, you know what? Like, I need help. I don't know all the answers. I don't know if you're listening, but if you are and you help me, then I will. And we make that deal. And I think the psalmist here is saying, like, hey, look, remember when I was in trouble and I said I'd do some things? If you got me out of it and you got me out of it, all right, I'm going to stick by it.
Right.
Which is better than most of us do.
Yeah. And so you have to read 13 and 14 together for sure, right? Because he's talking about, hey, I'm doing this. I'm coming to you, and I will do what I said I was going to do.
Right. Yeah, it's good. Then 15, I will offer to you burnt offerings of fattened animals with the smoke of the sacrifice of rams. We talked about the sacrificial system already. I'll make an offering of bulls and goats. And then there's this pause, and it says, come in here, all you who fear God, and I will tell you what he has done for my soul. Talk to us about that.
Share your story. Share your story. Share your story.
Is that what the psalmist is into?
Yes.
Puts his pen down.
Yes. Okay. So come and hear again, right? Like, before it was come and see. Now it's come and hear, all you fear God. Before it was come and see what God has done. Let's remember what God has done. And here he's saying, come and hear, all you who fear God. And I will tell you now what God has done corporately, even though that was amazing.
Right.
I will tell you what he did in my life.
Right.
And no one can dispute your story. That's why there's so much power in your story.
And this is the first time that he's gone from the collective to the individual. It's the first time.
Yep.
And it is for this idea of, how do I communicate the value of this for you because of the value that it's driven to me? Really, what I would say the psalmist is saying, let me tell you how Jesus made my life better. Like, that's what that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Well, he wouldn't say Jesus.
He wouldn't say Jesus.
He would say Yahweh, because Jesus wasn't on the scene yet.
Nope.
I mean, he was.
He was, but still kind of
it would have
in
been
the shadows.
Yeah, it would have been like, Christophanies, essentially.
Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
Appearances of Jesus in the Old Testament,
Yes.
pre-incarnate form. Dominic, sacrifice looks like humility, thinking of myself less and prioritizing what others look or need over what I need, not just out of abundance, but instead giving something that costs me. Yeah, absolutely,
That's
right.
good.
Sacrificing and I think Crystal's goes with it well. Sacrificing my time and comfort to sit with someone in their need, intentional listening instead of steering the conversation or letting my mind wander. Absolutely. Because I do think that there are easy things for us to quote unquote sacrifice. And really what it means, to Dom's point, is like, I have extra, so have my extra. That's not really sacrificing.
Right.
Sacrificing is like, what if you don't have enough and God's telling you to give some of what you don't have so that somebody else can have, and like that is sacrifice.
Yeah.
Sarah, not always getting to have my own way because it might not be God's perfect plan for my life. Daily is praising God and seeking to be at a place no matter what is going on in my life, because that is trusting God and looking around at someone else that might need just an encouraging word. Nice. And then Kathleen says prayer, fervent prayer for the unbelievers in my family, right? And I think sometimes it's just like staying emotionally engaged, whether it's to somebody in your life that's close to you and far from God. I think that, that's easy at some point to just disconnect and go, well, I guess that, I've done my part.
Right.
Or I think right now, part of the role of the global church is to pray for and not look away from what's taking place in Ukraine. Like that's been going on for several weeks, really a couple months now. And if you continue to look and watch the images that we're seeing from over there, like it would be easier to just numb out and go, well, it's not really affecting my life, except I pay more for gas and groceries. Like, yeah, but like I think they would pay, I think they would trade what they're going through for higher gas and groceries. And so how do we pray for and care for a group of people and then look to get involved, right? When maybe that's like a bunch of people helped raise money for that, but what are ways that I think it would be easy to look away and God's asking us not to.
Yeah, that's good.
Leslie says seizing control to God because I just get in the way. I like kind of this is idea of like releasing God. I'm not going to try and manage the outcome. Linda, I have recently asked God to show me what he wants me to do, giving up control of my life. Yes, they're similar, surrendering to God in every way. What are those areas of our lives, right? Where we go, God, you can have this, you can have this, you can have this, like this part, oftentimes one of the last things that God gets a hold of is our wallet, but it's not the only thing that takes a while for God to get a hold of. Maybe it's that dysfunctional relationship. Maybe it's that bad habit or that self-medication that we can sort of use in unhealthy coping ways that God would say, no, like I want to be your rest. I want to be the thing you run to. And so how do we do that?
Yeah.
And then let's see here. It says, I cried to him with my mouth and high praise was on my tongue. If I had cherished iniquity in my heart, the Lord would not have listened. So this is another one of those couplets in 17 and 18. But he says, look, I was crying out, God, and praise was on my tongue. If I had cherished iniquity in my heart,